Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Fanatics Tuesday night live Q&A show. We're recording on 17th of March after round one, and we've had a few more hours to digest and have a look at how our teams are settling down and all the fallout from round one. So I'm sure we're all planning towards our trades for round two. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find BAILSDT across the socials. Joining me is a few AFL Fantasy Fanatic co-hosts to jump on tonight. We've got Jordox jumping on shortly, just running a little bit late. We do have Tom and Taezer jumping on tonight. So, Tom, mate, how are you feeling with looking at your team now once the dust has settled from round one? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Team, I think, is in an okay state despite the average score in round one. So looking forward to trying to work out what I'm going to do this week because I'm a little bit unsure at the stage.
Yeah, I think a few of us are probably a little bit unsure as well with what we're doing. And jumping on again from the road in his car all the way down from Bustleton, it is a good friend Taezer. Taezer, mate, how are you? How's the drive?
I'm good, mate. The drive is boring, and now I've just hit some traffic, so now it's boring and congested.
Oh, what better? Jumping on a pod, chatting some fantasy. So it might make the time go a bit quicker for you. I was going to say he's jumping on late, but he's right on time, bang on time, as he always does. Jordox, mate, how are you? Good timing.
Yeah, good, mate. Good to see you, boys. Sorry, I'm slightly late, but I'm here. Yeah, good to be on, and obviously missed Sunday night, which was probably for the best. I was a bit grumpy. Probably didn't have the best round one in Classic or any of my keeper leagues.
Did you tune in? Did you hear me? Did you hear me? I was up and about. Not.
So, yeah, I know.
But
the advice
better now.
The advice we gave last week. Hey, it's one round. One round doesn't make a season. And got some trade plans ready to go and jump into round two and start catching up to everyone.
Yeah, exactly right. So if you are out in the 40K ranks, 50K ranks like myself, don't feel too bad. I'm sure there's plenty of season to go. 23 weeks, and the season and all the teams will be congested for another 3-4 weeks because of these early buys. So plenty of time to make all this ground up. If you guys do have a question tonight, if you got any questions regarding players, trade scenarios, whatever, chuck them in the comments. We'll get to them as quick as we can. We'll chat through a few key topics to begin the show first of all. But boys, I think this is a really tough week for trades. Normally, I don't know about you guys, I've found it fairly easy to find where to go in round one. You might get an injury or a player that really crap shoots and you go, yep, they're out. But this week, I think the big problem is we know who to trade out likely. We've probably got 3, 4, 5 issues, but it's who to bring in. So we've got round two guys all on the buy, a lot of popular guys that would have been brought in. The Dacos brothers, maybe people would have jumped on a Walsh if you somehow didn't start a Jagger Smith, Tanner Bruin, Dan Houston. There's a lot of guys, and there's a lot that I haven't even mentioned. And then we got guys coming up to a buy next week and then round 4. So it's like, do you bring a guy in on the buy? So, George, because we didn't hear from you on Sunday, I want to go to you first. How are you sitting with what you're looking at doing with trades, right? So I know we've still got a few more days till we get the first game of the round and still a little bit of water to go under the bridge still with teams and that. But where are you currently sitting with what you're doing? Because I don't know about you, but I might have a bit of cash in the bank.
I'm trying to avoid doing like a double downgrade and just having a heap of cash for round 3, but it's going to be hard to avoid because just some of the targets that I have. So I've obviously got Goulden, which is a common issue, and I'm pretty happy to let Colby McKercher go and just say, maybe we'll try again next year, big fella. But yeah, the targets, there's just a couple of kids that really stand out. There's the West Coast one, whose name escapes me, Milan Murdoch. What an awesome name. Should have picked him alone, not just on the name alone. Yeah, so that second one, do I then go down to someone or shoot for the sky? But a lot of the primos I kind of like are on the buy this week. So, yeah, I think you'll find a lot of people are in a similar boat and may do a double downgrade and then launch up on, the Geelong, Brisbane, Collingwood, Carlton primos next week.
Yeah, exactly. It's a a tricky one, that is for sure. Taze, obviously, we spoke about this a bit, so I think we're probably starting a new series in a way with Fanatics on the Patreon, where we'll go through a bit of a lift behind the curtain and go through our own teams and what we're thinking about with trades, which we probably don't really go in depth, obviously, on any of these podcasts. We'd like to get all these questions right, but just quickly, for those, what are your thoughts at the moment? We do have a few issues to fix.
Yeah, look, I'm pretty happy with the large part of where my team is, and I'm just trying to get those rookies I missed, which unfortunately means I'm gonna have to carry a bit of cash into next week. But I'm pretty set on that's what I need to do for my team. I'm otherwise happy. I didn't get as many mid prices as other teams, so I'm happy with the number of primos that I have. But yeah, going to get those rookies. Going to get the value while it's there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Tom, you're in a unique spot because you've seen him like beach balls, mate. You've already got Milan Murdoch. You knew he was going to be a gun before any of us, and one of the Eagles. So you're in a bit of a different spot where you might be able to go, say, a Braden Cook, right, and you can get a premium in, right? You don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
I have plenty of issues in my side. I have Golden. I have Bergman, I have Parrish, Steele, Blackiston, or I'm still okay with him. Todd Marshall, who's not even on the injury report today, should be good to go next week. Which means I kind of can do sideways trading. But as we've mentioned, we just have nobody I want to bring in. Not many of the teams that didn't play out in round played particularly well this week, especially scoring wise. So it kind of leaves at that hole of do I bring in a buy player? That's going to buy next week or the week after? Do I double down? But who am I double downing to? I'm much like Jordox. I'm not a huge fan of carrying silly amounts of cash into next week. I quite like a little to get my rank going the right way and getting a few points. When we're not sure, even with some of the buy players, about premiums with the trends that are just starting to form with stoppage numbers down and transition players doing well. So will that settle? So yeah, I'm a little bit unsure. So hopefully answering all the viewer questions will help me sort things out in my own head. That I can get at the end of pod, I can give you a proper answer, because right now I can't.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give my thoughts on what I'm looking at doing with trades towards the end of the show, and we do go through our trades, but I'm in two minds a little bit as well. We do have a couple of super chats to kick things off, which is very nice. So thank you, Tom, for the first super chat. And no, it's not Tom on the pod; it's different Tom. Windsor/Goulden Windsor and Goulden to Miller and Cook got Murdoch. So Tom, I'll go to you for this one because you may have a bit of a Miller action and not the Nasai variety, the Wayne variety.
Yeah,
he's in a similar boat as well. He's already got Murdoch.
Yeah, he's got Murdoch, and you are in a very similar boat to myself. If Windsor is your worst player, I don't mind this trade. I would probably it's hard to know who comes on field. Obviously, there are two field players. Are both Miller and Cook on field? I think you don't have all of the rookies, unless you're an extra rookie 3, you might do. I don't mind it. I maybe would try and get someone better than Miller. You have all the cash. You're going Windsor down to Cook, so you can go Golden to anybody. Maybe someone like a Lockie Whitfield, Jack Sinclair, maybe Jack Caldwell. These kind of guys this week, rather than bringing in a mid-pricer like Miller, who we've seen one good score, and that's very good. But is he going to be a top 6, or is he going to make 15, 20 points of cash? And that's where it really sticks for me. Yes, he will go up this week, but he might get trapped in your side. He's never been really a proven fantasy scorer. And got that little worry that you're bringing him in and might get stuck with him. And is that improving your team from a Windsor who did beat his average last week?
Yeah, exactly.
It's breaking.
Do have another super chat from Sean. So thank you, mate. He's saying, have Goulden and Gallup as the trade outs. Also have Bergman and McKercher, mate. This is sounding exactly like me. And I think you sent me a message saying we've got very similar teams. Are they more of a priority as they're losing cash, or do you keep them for their good runs and reassess next week? So, Jordox, I want to get your thoughts, but I'll quickly give my thoughts on this because I'm the exact same, but I'm keen to get your thoughts. I worry about holding Bergman and McKercher. And the reason I worry about holding both is and I'll go back again a little bit to last year. I hate doing this, right? But I've got to do it because I think it's a good comparison. I did this same thing with Sam Taylor and Tom Stewart last year. I kept them going. I'll fix one up next week. I'll fix the other one, right? And I got stuck with them. I just worry if you don't trade one of Bergman or McKercher out and we get other issues, we've then got to trade one of the issues or whatever out, and then we can only trade one of Bergman or McKercher. And that's obviously if they both fail. There's a chance they both go well, but if they fail, I think you're in a bit of a hard spot. Whereas Gallup's not dropping money. So I'm leaning towards Goulden goes because he's out for 4 months, and probably McKercher because of the role. Jordox, are you of a similar sort of thinking there? Could you keep McKercher because he's got West Coast and just trade Gallup because he's just not going to make any money when he comes back? How would you sort of assess this? Because obviously a few issues that's probably really just determining who goes first and what your priority is.
Well, I'm glad you said Goulden out. I thought you were angling towards saying hold Goulden for a week and get rid of the other two. No. Yeah, obviously Goulden out. Yeah, look, obviously I said at the top, McKercher can go. A very, very big overreaction from me and probably all of us. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for his poor score, maybe not so much for Bergman. So I think I've leaned towards keeping Kirch and dropping Bergman along with Goulden.
What, dropping Bergman over McKercher? Interesting. I'd probably go McKercher out, to be honest, just because I think I just feel like Bergman's still the role. And Taze, I want to get your thoughts as well, just on this one. I'll add Archie Roberts and Caleb Windsor into the mix because they're the four, right? People have got a few coaches probably got two, maybe three, if you're unlucky, and some got one. How would you rank those four in terms of trade outs? Those four mid-price defenders that have clearly, like Windsor probably less so have failed, but the other ones are looking like they may fail.
Yeah, so I disagree probably a little bit with Jordox in that I think the reason McKercher didn't score is twofold in that he had the low time on ground, but he also had a mid-forward role. So he only attended 10 centre bounces of, I think there was 30 odd for the match. So probably about 30% CBAs in 60% time on ground. So the role wasn't there, and then Hardiman has just been announced that he's available for selection. So and so is Wardlaw. So they're going to have a selection crunch, and if he's not fit and can't play full games, I don't want any part of that. I don't like his role, even if he was playing full time on ground, and I don't like his time on ground, even if he was in the role. So that's two. So he's down the bottom of my list of players I want to hold. Bergman performed poorly, and he was used as a Swiss Army knife to cover Marshall when he went down late, but in the last quarter rather. But I still think he had the role for most of it. And there was a few times where he made a tackle, it didn't quite stick. He got burnt by a teammate when he was in space and should have received a mark. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if Bergman scored well, but I do think he's someone you can jump off. Then Archie Roberts I wouldn't be surprised if it came out that he had, a cold or a flu or something like that, and there was some reason why he couldn't play minutes because he was second in the Essendon VNF last year. He was the player who played the most amount of time on ground out of the whole club last year. And he was used in a really kind of weird manner, and he still scored. His points per minute was still solid. He just didn't get many minutes. So I think he's the most likely one to turn it around and go straight into scoring, something that's 85 plus.
Yeah. And then Windsor?
Then Windsor, look, I kind of made my thoughts on Windsor known all the way through the preseason that I think in real life he's a great player, but he doesn't tackle and he doesn't take marks. He gets about 20 disposals a game. Most of them are handball receives or loose ball gets, and that is great in real life. It is not great for fantasy football.
Yeah, exactly. So he can go as well. Probably the other ones can go first, but yeah, Windsor is another one that can probably go. We do have a super chat as well from Clouds AU. So thank you, mate, for your super chats flying in. Hey, boys, love the show. Thank you, mate. Have all the good rookies, luckily, and have Goulden, Kirch, and Blackiston. Don't really know where to go. Thanks, boys. So I think Tom Blackiston's probably the one you keep, right? He had a tough matchup. The two Hawthorn rucks. I think you hold him. He's got a good matchup this week. I think he can turn it around, and Goulden and Kirch go. I think this probably leads into what I was going to actually chat about before we got the super chats in, was that with Goulden, who are the targets, right? We've said that there's a lot of guys on buy, or I've got a buy coming up that we don't love. Who are the guys? Obviously, if we can get defenders, mids, and forwards, I think the ones that for me that come out to mind is like Sinclair, Whitfield, Ash, who have all got a buy coming up, but they're all potentially options there. Midfield, Caldwell, Merritt, probably the two for me that come to mind. Maybe Dawson if you're happy to pay up and hasn't got a buy coming up. And then forwards, I think Rochelli's probably the one if you don't have him. He's the one. Are they probably the ones? Is there anyone else that I missed that people might be looking at?
This week, honestly, no. That's kind of my brain. that's kind of my TED talk right now. One thing I wouldn't be doing is getting on a Dylan Stevens. Great score. Can't see him backing it up.
We had a few questions about him that we didn't chat about him on Sunday.
Yeah, I couldn't be more no. Wing roll did very well, played awesome, but he's a 60s guy. He's shown that for years. I think Goulden and McKercher are the two outs. I think you have two options. You're kind of in a similar boat to myself with Bergman instead of McKercher. You've got two options. You either just straight swap them both, like combine the cash and get the best two players you can. So that could be Caldwell and I hate to say like Miller, or you go. Yeah, I find it really hard to combine. So you could go McKercher down to a Cook, or if you need a defender, that's where it gets tough. I don't even know who to bring in, who's a cheap defender, who's going to have good job security. I think the answer is there isn't one, unless someone gets named this week. It's I'm really trying to give some advice. I just can't. I just don't know what to do in this situation, so I'm there.
Yeah, it's a tough week. I think if you don't have any of these rookies that popped because maybe you didn't start a Blamires, maybe because you wanted to have a look at it first. If you don't have him, he's another obvious target. If you didn't start a Sam Grill or a Jagger Smith, obviously you can wait one more week for him, but I'm sure that a lot of people did start him. Lockie Jakes, guys like that. If you didn't start these guys, I think they're the top priority. And we do have a question here from Buki Jordox about, hey, boys, hope you're doing well. What do you guys think Milan Murdoch can really do, or might he be a trap? Is it a bit hard for a guy to be a trap when he's got a minus 26 break even, under 300K, mature age, and just scored a 90? Okay, we're not expecting him to good score 90s every week, but if he's getting 50s and 60s next few weeks, he's going to make a bucket load of cash. So are you happy? Is he the number one guy you'd get in of not the obvious guys a lot of people already had?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, every year there's one that we kind of miss, and it's Tom didn't. Well done, son. But every year there's an SSP or someone a little bit left of center that pops, and it's like, all right, well, let's get him. So I think it's a fair question. Is it a trap? Is it? I think it's only a trap. It would only eventuate into a trap if he, had a bit of a stinker this week and was dropped. And I can't see West Coast doing that with, respectfully, the cattle they've got and, where they're at. A performance like that will buy him, you'd think, at least a month in the side. And as you said, that cash gen has already been kickstarted something fierce with a 90+ score. So even if he scores in the 50s, 60s, he'll be okay. So I don't think it's a trap, but I think it is good to question it and not just blindly jump in because of the price, the score rather, as Tom sort of alluded to with the Dylan Stevens. You know, it's a huge price. It can't go wrong because he's going to make some cash, but it's very different when they're 700K.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we all know that Murdoch's likely going to be a bench option for us, but obviously he'll play for at least this week for most coaches that have got Walsh, Dacos, Brun, Jagger, all these guys who'll be on field this week. Proper Deadly doesn't have a question, but he said, "Hey lads, really enjoying your pod. Best drive to and from work. Listen, regardless of how your season ends, keep it up." Thank you, mate. Very much appreciate the kind words. Certainly love the community are in the fantasy, just fantasy in general. A lot of legends out there as well. Elizeno, any thoughts on Wayne Miller? Could be his breakout season. So, Tom, I think we got your quick thoughts there, but Jordox, want to get your thoughts as the Crows man. I think Vam's put out a bit of a tweet today about Miller. Best he's looked for a number of years. First time he's had a preseason without being injured the year before. So that's a good thing. Can he finally break out to be a 90 defender? He's priced at 77, I think. So maybe 13 points of upside when we're struggling for options. If you've got these rookies, Tom's might want to know about this as well because he's looking at it. What are your thoughts on Miller as an option?
Look, I've got to try not wear my Adelaide hat here, but Miller has been one of my favourites for so long. It's been so frustrating knowing he's got this ability and this talent and his body lets him down. And I was there Saturday night and watched in the flesh, and I've never seen him play like that before. He looked untouchable. He couldn't be stopped. So putting that aside and being more objective and looking at the price, what he's priced at, and realistically what he could get to, whether it's worth it. I was thinking about this morning how I'd love to do it just because I love the guy. But if I did it from McKercher, I think I have to spend a couple of thousand. And I don't think it's the play unless he was priced at, 600 or, substantially less. Because at this price and with what you said before, he does need to really get above 90. And I think he can. I don't know if it'll be a slam dunk pick. And I also think there's probably no harm having another look. So if you look at his scoring last year, he would bit of up and down. He'd pop a 90. You'd think, here we go. And then the next week it's a 50. Now, I don't think that happens. I think he looks the real deal this year. But I just think in this game, ask me about keeper later, but in keeper drafts. But in this game, classic, I just don't know if I'd be doing it as much as I'd want to.
Yeah. It's an awkward price there. Taze, you want to say something? I don't know if you had your hand up for a second there.
Yeah, I did. Look, I just want to agree with Jordox and say his price. So think about when you started the season with Bergman and all these guys, you kind of set that expectation of, okay, if I'm paying this much for them, they've got to get within kind of 10 points of the top six. So essentially, they need to go probably close to 90 plus, if not more. Miller hasn't really shown that he has that ability. He's had like a few pop scores, but he's never shown that ability. And Crows have also not shown that they have the ability to have multiple defenders score 90 plus. So it's not like he's taking over the role from someone. If Laird went down and you went, okay, Laird's points have got to go somewhere, Miller makes a lot of sense. But I mean, unless we think Rory Laird's going to have a regression back to being a 70s guy, which allows Miller to be a 90 plus guy, I don't see how they can fit in. Then even if it all kind of came together, he's kind of in a weird limbo where you're paying what is it, 75 for him approximately?
Yeah,
77.
Yeah.
So you're paying 75. So you need him to be 90 plus to be a good pick. And like, wow, 28-year-old breakout in a system that's never done it before. Like you're really hoping that everything works. And then the one last thing I'll just add to go is that where I differ from Jordox, I don't think you can watch another week. So they're about to play Western Bulldogs, which is a very good matchup for distributing defenders. And this is the week. His break even's low enough that if you watch a week, he's going to be priced over 80 and the value's gone. And then you need him to go 95, 100 for him to be a good pick. So I think you go this week and you hope that you've seen enough and that you've picked it, or you stay away from him, you let him go through the keeper.
Yeah. I was going to say that we don't see many breakouts, but hey, Jack Sinclair broke out fairly late into his 20s, so you never know. It could happen again. But yeah, I think the only way you can really do it is if you've got no issues, you've got all the rookies, you've got one of Murdoch or Cook already, and you're getting one or the other, and then you can get Miller as well if you've got no issues, and there's no one you like. I'd still think I'd rather, if you've got DP, go Caldwell, go Merritt, go Dawson, or in the defense, go Sinclair, Ash, Whitfield, because you don't have to trade them out. You got them in top 6, you lock them in, and that's it, right? But if you think you can go 90 plus, I don't think we could talk you out if you think he's going to break out. But I guess we're just sort of going, can he do it or not? Just because we haven't seen it, and we're probably just a bit cautious with that. Geez, super chats are flying through. We've got another couple here. So we've got Haz has got one here. Thank you, mate. Hey, fellas, would you rather go Kirch to Caldwell, Merritt, Dawson, and hold 550K, or Kirch to Cook and hold 1.2 million, or Marshall to Cook, hold 800K? So I'll say that you'd probably just hold Marshall, because it sounds like he may play this week. If not, he'll be out for a week. I think you can hold him. Geez, Tom, I think you've said that you're against holding that much money. I'm considering doing this exact thing, going those exact trades, pretty much is what I'm considering. What do you think should be doing here?
I'm doing McKercher to one of those guys, if I'm honest. I think 550. I currently got Caldwell in my trade plan, so that's probably going to be my answer for this. But it's not a strong, definitely Caldwell, just who I'm on at the minute. I think 550K still gives you so much flexibility next week to go and get a Dacos brother, or get a Zorko, or get a Bailey Smith next week off their bye from a Steele or a Parish, for example. So yeah, I think holding over $1 million is you're just losing points at the end of the day.
Would you look at this way? Because the way I sort of thinking about it, like the more I think about it, I've had an average start. So in my mind, it's only one round, but in my mind, I'm chasing points and I'm chasing the pack. So I'm probably going to lean towards the first one, going for up to a primo mid. If you've had a pretty good start, maybe you can consolidate and just hold and get Cook because of the money that's going to help you further down the track. Is that a good way to think about it, do you reckon, or is it too early to play attack or defense?
I think it's too early to play attack or defense, in my opinion. Just because we're just trying to build cash in this first half of the year and not leave ourselves too far back. I guess I'm a bit less hot on Cook. He had a very good game last week, got rightly praised by the coach, but he must be in the bottom 3 players in that 23. Like, if, as reports are right, Saligo might be the one that gets dropped this week, he gets back in the side, and yes, he can play on a wing. I just worry if he has 2 bad games, is he gone in 3 games' time and not made you much cash, and then you've got an issue. Whereas you're locking in a point scorer. We're all a little bit rose-tinted glasses at the minute because all our rookies scored well. Every single one scored really well. If rookies go back to being rookies, then we might look at this in a different way next week. I'm like, oh, why didn't I had a horror week and I've got 1.2 million in the bank. So that's my thoughts. I'm not saying my thoughts are right. It's just how I sit on this issue.
Yeah, Taezer, I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because I think this is probably the most common question I've got and I've seen across the fantasy community is, do you bank a lot of cash, and that being anywhere up from 1 million to 1.5 from some teams, and just get these 2 rooks that we don't have, we're not sold on any premiums that we want this week, or they've got a buy coming up? Or do we just go, let's just get in a Caldwell, a Merritt, a Dawson, a Sinclair, an Ash, a Whitfield, because they're all going to be there or thereabouts in top of their top 6, top 8 in their position, right? So where are you sitting? Do you think you can wait a week, say, on a Cook, get a premium in and leave it there? Or do you think it's just better to go 2 rooks in, cash up, and then you can go shopping next week? You can bring in a Dacos, you can bring in both Dacos brothers, you could bring in a Walsh, you could bring in Dunkley, Baz, whoever.
I think you can wait a week if you really like someone. I think the problem with this week is that a lot of people feel like, you know, the best options are either on their buy or they're going to have that round 3 buy. So it kind of seems like a bit of a waste to pay up for a guy who's going to play 1 game and then he's going to miss out, and you could just wait a week. So if you're really hot on Merritt, Caldwell, are two pretty big ones. I think they're the most common names I've seen as primos to replace Gordon. Then if you're hot on them, then I say, like, get him, because I like Cook. I think he's going to be a player worth having, and I think he and Murdoch are going to be good cash generators. But I can absolutely see a world where you miss out on the guy that you want. Cook goes and gets injured or scores a 30, you know, or it sits on a cold wing, and then you kind of just go, well, why did I see it as a must-have trade? I've just kind of wasted it, and now I'm another week away from, you know, the primo that I want.
Yeah. Yep, it's a tricky one. It's a very, very tricky one. $1 million question this week, I think. Hens has got a super chat. Thank you, mate. He's asking about Errol to Cozzy Pickett and Colby to Murdoch. Cook not a must-own, in my opinion. So, Jordox, what are your thoughts on Cozzy as an option for Errol?
It's different. And how'd he go on the weekend, Cozzy? He had the usual midfield role, right?
Yeah, so Cozzy scored against St Kilda.
91.
Yeah, 91.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think it's... I can't really pick any holes. I guess the only thing I'd say is how full is your forward line already? I mean, most are going to have Sheasel, Petrarca, Flanders already, then a couple of guys like a Rochelle, Budrick. Bit hesitant to fill up on the forward line just yet. I like to wait and see what DPPs come our way in a month's time. But if you like Cozzy, I think he's going to continue at what he was doing last year. I don't really see him going past that, though. So if you're looking for improvement, upside rather, I don't think it's probably there.
Yeah,
he's just followed up. Getting Cozzy helps free up a midfield spot for Nick Dacos. Look, if it's part of a plan to get in Nick Dacos, I can get around it, Henza. So seems like you've thought it through, mate. Go with what you think.
Yeah, exactly. Jack Main's got this super chat. Thank you, mate. Goulden to Merritt or Sarong. Looking at going Yuland to Murdoch. So, Taze, I'll go to you because obviously you've got Yuland as well, and I think you're probably doing that exact same trade. But Goulden to Merritt or Sarong, I don't think as a Freo man you're particularly keen on really any of that Freo midfield.
No, I'm not. And I was just going to say that when I heard someone talking about nailing all the rookies, I was on mute and I just kept saying, not all of them. There was one that I didn't nail, and that was Zeke Yuland, although Bodie did quite well.
Just had
the first name being unspecified, second name Yuland, you would have had a good week.
Yeah, exactly. That's all. Mate, I'm really off all the Freo guys, and I'm a Freo man, and I think Caleb Sarong is an unbelievable player in real life. But Fremantle, despite scoring 100 points and playing really well against Geelong, only took about 50 marks. I think it was 55 marks or something like that for the whole match against Geelong. There is no spare points going around there. They had Luke Jackson, Caleb Sarong, and I think their third best scorer was Murphy Reid at about 78 points. They are poison. stay away from them. Just mark my words. And I think, who was the other player? Merritt?
Yeah.
Merritt, I actually quite like Merritt. I think he's going to be protected by his ability to play second positions. He's going to be protected for the time on ground, because he'll have little stints on the wing, a half forward or half back. I think now he's priced at, because of the way the game changes, even though I think he might not have even gone up in price, he might have only gone up a couple $1,000. That means, though, that his price stat is effectively 106 to 107. So there's probably not a lot of upside in him and in his price, but he's a gun if you just want to lock away one of your mid positions, which I think is something that we all got to maybe consider doing. We're all trying to hunt the value, and there's no really obvious value there. It feels like the game's changed with these new rules, at least to me. So a lot of the players that used to score stoppages, these Jack Steele guys, Parrish, until the game slows back down again, we might be really just trying to everyone's trying to nail Dacos, everyone's trying to nail all these guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that's the thing, right, is that people want Dacos. He's probably the one that everyone would like to trade into. I'm sure someone may ask at some point, say, can you trade a Nick Dacos in this week? No, don't do it. He's on buy. You wait till next week. And if you're going to do that, you might as well cash up and just get ready to get Nick Dacos in. But yeah, you go another prem if you're looking there this week. Joey Kotick says, hey, Buzz, did you hear the traders sneaked issue? No, it was quite funny, actually. Someone else was out there playing silly buggers and has used the team name Bales Nail. So Warney thought that was me, and that team was ranked about 80K. So I'm glad I'm not out at the 80K range. So there are some positives going here. Tony Ford has got this one. Goulden to Sinclair or Caldwell, Tom? Would you rather the guy that's on buy but probably closer to top in the line? Or would you go Caldwell? Because I think, do we just put that second half of Essendon just down to they just didn't get the ball, and that Caldwell was on an absolute heater, and he in another game he probably would have gone 120 plus?
Yeah, I'm on Caldwell. I think you're just going to get an extra game out of him. He's going to contribute, more points over the next 6 weeks than Sinclair, in my opinion. So as a result, I'm Caldwell over Sinclair. Although I do really like Sinclair, I do worry that Ross the Boss might change something though. I don't think 0-2. And you've got one of the best players in the comp who's playing at full forward. Yes, it is to avoid a tag, but you're going to want Wanker Miller in the game more, and that might be a way to swap into halfback, and that will have a negative effect on Jack Sinclair and other people. But yeah, it's a tough one, and I love the Sinclair pick, but round 5 after his bye.
Yeah, Jordox, you had some thoughts on this one?
Yeah, no, Tom nailed it on Sinclair. That I wouldn't be surprised if something changed. Not that they've been playing terribly, right? But yeah, I think you nailed that, Tom. That Sinclair is doing what he's doing at the minute, and he'll always be a gun. But yeah, I wonder if they mix things up. But on the Bombers and the midfield and that whole thing that happened Friday night, it was very strange, and I'm yet to read or hear any sort of explanation for the bizarre time on ground numbers in that third quarter. So Jai Caldwell was, lighting it up, absolutely dominating, certainly in a fantasy sense. I know he lays a lot of tackles, but he's on 77 at halftime. Darcy Parish was doing really well scoring-wise in the first half as well. Now, I understand why Parish's time on ground may drop in the second half. He's been out of the game for a long time, and they're probably going to ease him. But the two of them had pretty much 50% time on ground in that third quarter as Hawthorn were absolutely tearing the game apart. It was so strange.
Bang on. 50% tog for Caldwell, 49% for Parrish. Funny enough, they both started on the bench for the first half, and they pretty much were off the bench for like 8, 9, 10 minutes, came off with 5 minutes to go, and then they probably wouldn't come on with 2 minutes to go, but then the coach just said no, or whoever said no, don't worry about it, no point using a rotation. So it's just ridiculous. That's why we hate these players that start on the bench in a quarter, because they're likely to come off again.
game was over, so potentially that played into it. But I guess the point of all that is, I don't know what the story was, but who they got this week? Is it Port Adelaide?
Port. Then they got North Melbourne.
Yeah. Just the more we chat, fellas, the more my plans are starting to crystallise, and I think I'm on Jai Caldwell in a big way. Can't ignore that first half.
He was incredible. And I guess that first half, I was sitting there going, "Crap!" I was keen on him, and I didn't start him. We were just worrying about the Essendon midfield, but he lit it up, and then for some reason, their whole. Like Hawthorn did play essentially keepings off, and especially the last quarter, right? So Essendon's got no ball, but that second half, they've got to fix those rotations. They can't have Roberts, Caldwell, Parrish. I can understand playing mid-70s, high 70s, but not 70, well, 60-odd%, whatever he played, right? They've got to play 10%, probably more game time each.
And what's the other thing? Caldwell. Yeah, what you were saying, like you were so hot on him when we first kicked off in January. Both of us was very big on him being, and then that's the frustrating thing about the preseason. We let ourselves get talked out of things that we liked right from the get-go. And I remember on Friday night was cursing myself. Like I wanted to start Caldwell and I didn't. And look at him. So I was pleased in the second half somewhat that he slowed down. But no, looking at it now, I think he's probably my main target.
Yeah, he's, I think, a good target to be looking at. Henzer just asking, as a Crows fan, Bales, what's your genuine thoughts on Cook? I think that was a ceiling game from him, and he's a 55-60 guy, therefore we can pass on him. You do make a very good point, right? I think that was it's the best game he's played, and you could look at it and say he only scored 84, right? Whereas you could say like someone like a Malar Murdoch scored a 90-odd in his first game, played well, and you think that he can have more games, whereas, as Tay said before, those wings can be hot and cold. It really depends. I think traditionally Dogs have been a tougher matchup for wingers to score. Adelaide Oval a bit better. 380, it's like line ball, and that's I guess where I'm tossing. I think he's bought himself a few weeks, right? He, as Tom said, I think he's in the bottom sort of 4 to 6 players on the team sheet, but I think with how well he played in his preseason, I think he's bought himself at least 2-3 more weeks. So there's probably 100k cash gen to make there if he can continue maybe scoring some 50s and 60s. Could you just wait a week? Could you pay $420k for Braden Cook next week, get your premium locked in, still have 500, 600, 700k left over, still get costs in, probably go maybe Carroll if he gets dropped, or Gallup or Marshall or whoever the rookie is. Maybe you could just go them to Cook next week, spend up a little bit if there's no rookies that present themselves, but there might be a rookie that's 230k next week, and maybe you go to them. And maybe it's like, that's what I worry, is that double downgrading this week for all of us that are looking at doing it is if we get a rookie that comes out of nowhere this week, pops a score, you want them. You can't get Cook and that rookie, right? So, and then if you do the double downgrade and you get Cook and Murdoch, you got to get the other rookie in, right? So you're still probably going to have like $1 million left over. That's my worry. Like, I don't mind carrying some cash over, but when you carry $1 million for multiple weeks, Tom, that makes you're missing out on points, even though it's best 18.
Question, and I'm happy to, I just want to mention a name. I don't think I've seen him mentioned once. What Phoenix Gothard, priced at just over 300k, minus 12 break even, does have a buy, but you're not going to need him on that buy round. Is he a different option as a rookie forward bringing to Cook? I think he's definitely best 23. I think he's been. I don't mind the role. It's not quite forward pocket, and we've seen these some of these GWS small forwards score pretty well. At least get that 60. Is he an option to make more cash in the long run than Cook, or do we think Cook makes more cash? I'm happy to chance to pick up.
How'd you land on him being definitely best 23?
I think he started.
Well,
I think he started the year.
Darcy Jones out.
I think he started the year. He's been one of their better players. Maybe not better. Maybe not definitely. Like obviously, everyone can get.
Gotcha.
But he's had a good start to the year. Maybe it was a bit too strong on the definitely. Hansa said Gothard is one you definitely can't feel, but when you have, say, for example, I have Dev, Rob, and Marshall to go F6, he wouldn't be on field. Just as an option.
No, it's a good shout. Like it's it's another option. I think Cook's such a great discussion point. I think you nailed it earlier, Tom, because I mean that game, that 84 is what people see. But yeah, he was a real game changer for the Crows. We were screaming out for someone to be clean and to just not kick it out in the full in that first half. And yeah, he was fantastic. But the squeeze is on at the Crows, which is great. And like you said, it's going to be Peatling or Saligo this week. But yeah, if he does have a couple of quieter ones, Nankervis had a great preseason. He's waiting in the wings to come in as well. Mitch Hinge isn't far off. Yeah, so job security probably isn't as locked away as you'd probably want it to be. Having said all that, if it was between him and a Gothard, I would land on Cook.
Yeah, I'd probably go Cook as well, but that's probably why I'm saying maybe could you just wait one more week on Cook? If you maybe don't double downgrade, you can wait one more week. If he plays well again, there's no worries with job security, at least in the short term, particularly if like a Hinge comes in this week. Maybe they bring in someone else, like Rankin, obviously. And if they come in and Cook plays well and holds his spot, maybe he's there. Taze, as we wrap up and we go to the next one.
You're muted, mate.
Taze, you're on mute. Taze, you're on mute.
Sorry, guys. I was just going to say, with the whole concept of like, do you get the premium this week or do you wait till next week? The problem with the premium is there's no nailed on number one guy that we're really comfortable with. Like even Caldwell, we all have that same question about, what's the time on ground? Is Essendon going to, sort it out next round, or is it going to be the same thing again? And someone drops out. Maybe next week it's not Archie Roberts. Maybe it's Parrish who only gets 60%. God forbid. So there's still some question marks there around the role, and because his break even's higher, I kind of feel like I can watch it for a week, and then if it looks good and if his time on ground's solid, I don't lose anything by jumping on. Whereas someone like Cook or Murdoch, if I want to wait a week, they're going to be potentially, like if he is the gun player that I think he could be and he scores another 65, he's going to be up probably 425, 420, 440, yeah. Something like that, mid 400s. And then, like a lot of that value is gone. So that's why I think this is the week you actually watch, because there's no one who's really obvious, whose value. This is the week you go the cheap. You hide behind best 18, and you hide behind the fact that, like, we know just from discourse in the community that a lot of teams are already thinking about going double down. So yeah, you might be able to gain some competitive advantage by zigging when everyone else is zagging, getting a premium when everyone else is double down, but you might also really put yourself behind in the cash jam stakes.
Yeah, and I'm sort of thinking, I'm just like, well, like you can watch, and you can bring Nick Dacos in. The other thing as well, so many coaches above you have probably got Bont, who's out next week. They've probably got Dacos, who's out this week. So maybe if you just you do the cash play this week, you won't lose too much, and then you might be in the better spot with those rookies. So yeah, that's the thing. There's arguments for both. It's what makes this topic so interesting. I think a lot of us are tossing it up. Ripo's got this one. Hey, fellas, cheers for your hard work. Thank you, mate. Please rank these trade-out candidates. These are the worst issues. So Dodge Goulden and started Murdoch. So in a very, very good spot there, Ripo. 390K pre-trade. So he's got Rivers, Windsor, Blackiston, Parrish, Grundy, Marshall. So Tom, let's rank these for him. So Windsor and Rivers. Who goes first?
Rivers.
All right,
just
where does Blackiston fall? So you go the bottom
Rivers.
of the list?
Yeah. Yes, he does.
Parrish, where's he fit in? Near the bottom as well?
No, he probably slots in just behind Rivers.
And ahead of Windsor?
I think. Yeah, I wasn't impressed on Parrish.
Fair enough. Grundy. Could Grundy go the top? Because if you've got McAndrew, you might be able to just put McAndrew on field. Maybe go to a Vicentini. Maybe go to a cheaper option. Ned Reeves, maybe, if you want.
If it's there's an option to do it if you've got English and Grundy. That is the only way I'd be debating trading Grundy. is if you have English and Grundy and you're going to field 20 next week because you've got 3 forwards and 2 rooks, then I'd debate it. Other than that, not Grundy. And Marshall, I have probably right at the bottom. I found... Ask somebody else. I'm sorry. I don't...
Tom, you mentioned you're on the pod. You know to answer these questions.
Yeah, I know. I hate the Melbourne game style for fantasy scoring. I don't know about Essendon as a concept. Grundy scored 50 and Marshall got injured. Like,
but put the question on the screen, and I'll give it to you.
Rippo, you're getting some good treatment here. Only super chat's meant to go on the screen, but Jordox needs it. So there we go. So what do you reckon, Jordox?
Jordox has got a poor memory. I would go. You know what is actually funny, and I reckon this is interesting. XD Ripper Rip 58.
Yep.
I actually think I would go the order you've named them. I think you know what you've got your answers already because it's the way you've written it out. You thought most likely has been at the front. Rivers, Windsor, Blackiston, Parish, Grundy, Marshall. I reckon
he did say he's thinking Windsor. He's saying he's thinking Windsor and Parish. That's what he's thinking.
Yeah, see, Parish, I think is okay. I think Parish is okay. Windsor, you could jump off. You don't like it. Rivers was interesting. His time on ground was absurdly low, and I'm not sure why.
It always is, though. That's the only thing. He's always had low tog.
Yeah, and then Blackstone, you keep Grundy. Like Grundy, you could do if it helps with a structural change, but it was a down game for him. He'll bounce back and be fine. And then Marshall, you might have that dictated for you if he's out.
Yeah, exactly. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. Next one we've got Mark Biffin.
Before you do, I think Taser's got to hit the road. Well, he's on the road. He's got to continue hitting the road.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sitting in the driveway. I'm gonna jump out now.
Oh, all good. All good.
I did want to just weigh into the last one. For Grundy owners, anyone who's got Grundy, I'm just letting you know I'm targeting Grundy. So I decided to go with Vicentini and Lockie McAndrew as my R2 and 3, and Grundy is going to get very cheap. Unfortunately for owners, your pain is going to continue. You're going to get a poor score against Hawthorn this week, and then you're going to have a bye. But then you've got West Coast, and he's probably going to go 120, 130 against West Coast. And, depending on what my team's looking like, I'm looking at targeting him around then. So I would be really hesitant to jump off unless your team looks awesome. I'd probably go the 2 players that you listed first in Rivers and Windsor. They're mid prices. They're no good. Grundy's still going to be probably a top 3, 4 ruck. Everyone's going to target him.
Yeah, and I know you were saying to me when we were chatting about the Melbourne game style, just sort of go. It's not really too much chipping. So maybe Freo change it this week, but maybe not. But I know you got to head off, Taze. But thanks for jumping on, mate, for pretty much 90% of the pod. Where can the people find you across socials?
You can find me at Tazer87, and you can follow my team name at Tazer's Titans on.
And trades this week. What are you looking to do?
I'm going to go value. I'm going to cash up. I'm getting Cook and Murdoch for Goulden and Bodie. Not Bodie. God, I wish I had Bodie. Zeke Uland.
Yeah, exactly. No, beautiful. Thank you, mate. Thanks for jumping on. We might hear from you later on the week, but thanks, mate, and I'll chat soon.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Taze. Mark Biffin says, surely Dawson's the premier to bring in. Seems not much chat about him. The thing with me and George, I want to get your sort of thoughts on this, is that Dawson is so expensive, right? And at this stage, we're looking for value, and I think Dacos is, you could maybe say slightly different next week, because I think that the way this game's going and the way Collingwood are playing, it just seems like everything's going through him, and he could just average 115. I think we're a bit more confident he's top 4 mid compared to, say, Dawson, who could be top 4, but he could also be 5, 6, 7 in the mids. but no buy. Could you pay up for Dawson this week and not worry about it? Or do you think he is a bit too expensive and you just maybe move? Because Dacos is more expensive.
Yeah. I see Dacos on the up. I see Dawson on the way down in terms of fantasy careers, so to speak. He looked really sore. He was good, but it just look. Think of it this way: how do you see the Crows going in the next month or two? Because if you think the Crows are going to challenge and be really strong and towards the top, just what I'm hoping for, I don't think Dawson is the big top dog primo that you're going to want. If you think the Crows are going to struggle and the midfield is just going to fall apart, it's going to be all up to Dawson again. Yeah, he's probably going to be our best scorer and do what you need him to do. So use that as a bit of reference how you think Crows will go.
Yeah. I'm probably a little bit more bullish on Dawson. Not saying he's an average 150. I think you get where you're pretty priced at. He average around 108, 110. I'll probably go. Now I think McAndrew, if he's the ruck for the year, more hits to advantage, I think will help get the ball to Dawson more. But the worry with Dawson, right, he's never been a high possession player. He always gets low to high 20s. He just somewhere in the 20s. He rarely goes 30 plus touches. And if he is going absolutely bananas, he normally gets sat on by someone. So that is the worry. But yeah, it's a tough one. But if you're keen on Dawson, go ahead. I think he's going to be in top 8 mid or thereabouts. So I think if you're really keen, then jump on. Lockie says, could McKercher be a hold or must you get rid of him? Says Lockie. So Tom is, could you hold McKercher? Could you hold behind best 18? You cop 30, 40K maybe of cash loss, but you hide behind the fact he's got West Coast best 18. If you get a good score, you might get points. Do you cop the cash loss and trade, say, a rookie instead? Or do you just think he's just bad roll, bad tog, it's going to get managed, guys come back in, he's got to go?
Yeah, the only way I would be holding McKercher is if you see teams or preferably someone from North Melbourne, the club, comes out and is like, yep, Colby was great much better for the run, ready for much higher time on ground. And you look at teams and you're like, oh, I only see 6 defenders. Colby must be playing back there. Or he's named back there. He could be named back there anyway, but if you're seeing Blamires and Hardiman and a key back on the bench, then Colby's not playing there. I'd be wanting to see or hear a halfback role. If you do that, you can definitely hold it. You can definitely hold it and do something else. But you have to hear / see in teams that he is going to be a halfback. Don't forget Luke Parker's been playing back there as well, so you've got to count him. And if that's the case, unfortunately, I think he's a go. I think he's going to get... You're going to need to see a distinct change, much like we saw last year with him going back. And he's going to get so cheap that you're just going to lose cash in a cash-generating position in your side.
Yeah, great. Maybe we need Drew Jones. Maybe to get on it. Maybe we got to say, yeah, get down North Melbourne. Get down North Melbourne and Essendon. That's where we need these questions asked. We need, where's McKercher playing and what's happening with this Essendon Tog situation, what's going on. So hopefully we hear something later in the week, but I think unless that is, he's got to go. Dylan James has got a super chat. Did he put a comment in that I missed potentially? Yes, he did. He said, Bales Bont did get over 120 points, so I'm joining the Patreon, which subscription gets me the team review. The Super Fanatic is the one that gets you the team review, mate. But yes, I remember you did say in the watch long. So beautiful, mate. If you do that, then I'll good. And if anyone just wants to join the Patreon, patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. We've got a couple more before we wrap up. Which one? Kotale Jordox says, which rookie price player would you trade out for Murdoch? Options I'm thinking are Blackiston, Carroll, Dersma, and Sarong. Is it Carroll out of those? Because there's a chance he's with St Kilda 0-2. I know a few Saints fans on Twitter and that weren't happy exactly and said he might go for Stocker, and Stocker's like right there. And maybe Nassif is going back if he does. If we think he maybe goes more behind the ball, if they want to get him more involved, is he the one that maybe goes? Maybe Blackiston. I think Dersma's probably safe, isn't he? He's probably the one that you're not trading.
Yeah, I'm not trading Dersma. I'd be more looking I know I've been really against double downgrade, but I'm going to suggest if you've got a Colby or a Bergman, I probably would do that down to if you have enough defenders. If you have enough defenders to do like a Colby or a Bergman down, I probably would prefer that. Because then you can choose which one out of Blackiston and Carroll next week to go up from. I think. Also wrong if you're like, oh, if he has a poor score, he might be a jump off target. So yeah, if you had to one of those, I think it's probably Blackiston, just due to the lower break even, the high break even, I think.
Yeah, because Cal's still got a 3 break even, but if he got dropped, then it makes your decision for you, right? So, but we probably hope he doesn't, because I think we need him this week for cover for these guys here. As Jordox, we get him on the screen. He's got the camera back on. He's finished his dinner, and we'll have him for a couple minutes before we wrap up. So Will Bite says he's looking at going Goulden to Murdoch and Kirch to Sinclair, Ash, Merritt, Caldwell, Callahan, Witt, or cash up for Berg, Parrish, Dacos next week. Light on the round 4 buy and looking at Giants green run after buy. So what are your thoughts, Jordox? Would you go one of Sinclair, Ash, Merritt, Caldwell, Callahan, Whitfield, one of those buy players or the Essendon guys, or cash up?
Caldwell, I reckon. Out of that lot, that's what I'm going to do, I think.
Yeah, I do like Caldwell out of those guys there. And as Alexander said, at times you said made a good point. As long as Parker, Daniel, and Blamires are playing halfback, Kirch won't be back there. That's a good point, right? I think like you can't play him back there, but it does surprise me a bit that they did move him out with how well he did play last year. But they won, so what do I know? We'll go. I think that might be it. If you any last questions there, I think we've pretty much chatted through all the issues. There's a few different combos and stuff, but I think we've probably answered all of it. So I think we will probably wrap up there. But if we did miss your question, apologies. If you do, yeah, sure.
Can I give a quick shout out, Brad Smith? If it's this will be awkward if it's not the Brad Smith, I think it is. But if it is, happy birthday, mate. Go the Crows.
We'll see. He'll probably reply in the chat soon. We'll see if it is. All right, we'll finish off with this one here. So Shaji's asked this question here: Goulden for Bont or Sarong, or get Murdoch? Don't have any other big issues. Tom, could you bring in Bont with a bye next week? He looked unbelievable last week. I think I don't know about you. I'm off Sarong. I'm not touching Sarong. Tag, free game style. Just nothing's there. So is it Bont or do you get Murdoch?
I mean, I don't think I'm getting Bont. I could get Bont, and I'm not getting Bont. I'm definitely not getting Sarong. I think you're going to want Murdoch. So I think that's your priority trade in. So you get Murdoch, and then you see how much cash / what you want to do with the other trade. If that is Goulden to Murdoch, that's Goulden to Murdoch this week.
Yeah, if you're paying up for someone, just Dacos next week. Just do that. You have his buy. You cash up and do that. And don't have any other bigger issues. I think you take it and you go get the rookie in and you look next week and trade it whoever you want to Dacos or whoever you like. So
yeah, and to get who trade Philippou, please. You don't need to wait for injury news. Just get off and get Cook or get whoever you've missed.
Who's the wrong Brad?
Yeah, Brad says, wrong Brad got some in Perth. So, so Brad, you just wish happy birthday maybe in advance, or maybe your birthday's already been.
I'll explain. There's a Brad Smith in one of my keeper leagues. It's his birthday today, and I just thought it was him. Anyway, no worries. Happy birthday for whenever it is, Brad.
Well, we will wrap up there, but as always on a Tuesday night, we'll go through what our current trade plans are, what we're thinking about there as well. So, Tom, what are you currently thinking about with your trades? And they'll come round after we say our trades for socials and team names and stuff, but trades, what are you thinking?
So, at the minute, I have, I've got Goulden to Lockie Whitfield. This has changed during the pod. Goulden to Lockie Whitfield, and then Bergman is going to Braden Cook. Yeah. Well, you're in a good spot as well because you already got Murdoch. So, mate, very nicely done.
Jordox, what are you looking at doing with your potential moves?
I'm going to go Goulden to Caldwell, and then I think I'm going McKercher down to Murdoch using Sarong's utility spot. So, yeah, so it's kind of, I get to do both. I get a primo for Goulden, but I also have lots of cash for next week. So I like it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the combos I've got, and I've got about 670 odd K left over, so still a lot in the bank. Or at the moment, what I've currently got in my team as we're recording now, I do have McKercher down to Cook and Goulden down to Murdoch with $1.359 million in the bank. So if I could cash it out in real life, that would be amazing. But we can't.
Be nice.
So, yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm currently thinking, but who knows? So. Alrighty, that'll do us. But if you do have any more questions, do want to guarantee an answer to your question, you can head to patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics. I'll be recording a Q&A tomorrow afternoon. So if you'd like your questions answered there, you can do more detailed ones there, and I can answer those for you. And if you want a team review as well, you can also check that out there at patreon.com/AFL Fantasy Fanatics, or in the description below of the pod or the video. But Tom, mate, thank you very much for jumping on. Where can the people find you across socials, and what is your team name if they would like to add you to their foes on the fantasy website?
Yeah, you find me on X at Tom_Hales_, and my team name is Pom United. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Make sure you go and add Tom there. Jordox, mate, where can the people find you across the socials? What's your team number? So you post it in the chat. For those listening on the pod, what's your team name? And what can people expect in the next Finders Keepers pod, which you released yesterday, I believe?
Yep, so I'm on X at Jordox2020. My team name is Leather Poisoned. And Finders Keepers is the Keeper and Dynasty Draft League podcast that I started last year, and the round one review came out last night, as you said, so go and check it out. You can find the X page on X at FindKeepAFL, and you can find Finders Keepers on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, even though it's just audio only, but if you want to watch on YouTube, you can. Yeah, and that's me. And I think we should all be pretty proud of the fact that I went the whole pod without going into any level of detail about how good the Crows were Saturday night. Apart from touching on Cook and Miller, how good was McAndrew? Just Ruckcraft, big boy.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very good win by the Crowies. You can find me at BAILSDT across the socials, and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. You can find me on the foes page as well. Bales Nails, and it's Bales Space Nails. There's someone else that's ranked 80K. That is not me. I'm not that bad.
Sabotage.
So I'm not at 80K. But no, it's good gear. Someone using that. I think they used a bit of the thumbnail from the Ball Boys a couple of years ago on their profile picture. It's a good stuff. I did have a bit of a giggle at that as well when it was mentioned on the Traders pod. We'll be back. Well, I'll be back tomorrow for Trade Talk, Captain's Thursday, all the usual stuff on YouTube. Might have watched on that in the weekend. Our pre-lockout chat Thursday afternoon, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. per time. Probably a short one this week because I'll be off to Adelaide Oval for a massive Friday night game. So that'll be a short one there. So from 6 p.m. Eastern for about 40 or so minutes there. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And Sunday night for another round review. Same time after the final game of the rounds. That'll be pretty much the same time as last week, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. per time. So we'll chat to you guys in some of those other pods. But like, subscribe on YouTube, 5-star rating review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to your podcast. And catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye-bye.